The United States economy declined in the first quarter of 2025, the first time in 3 years, as businesses raced to avoid higher costs from tariffs, underscoring President Donald Trump's trade policy. According to Commerce Department, GDP rate contracted at a 0.3% annual rate last quarter against 2.4% increase in the fourth quarter of 2024. The report also grossly exaggerated the economy's fading prospects and with consumer spending slowing considerably from the fourth quarter. Reacting to the report, which coincides with his first 100 days in office, Trump says the economy decline could be traced to his predecessor's administration.
GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today, and I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is quarterly numbers, and we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country in so many ways, not only at the border was more obvious, but we took over his mess. We had numbers that despite what we were handed, we turned them around, and we were getting them really turned around. Gross domestic investment was a whopping 22%. Now, that is a number that people are coming in at numbers. For instance, I just walked in, I heard Samsung.
Bank of Japan kept interest rates steady and quotes its growth forecast, suggesting uncertainty surrounding U.S. tariffs and the hit to export. As expected, the BOJ kept short-term interest rates steady at 0.5% by unanimous votes. The central bank projected inflation could stay roughly on course at 2% target. That's in the coming years. In a quarterly outlook report released after the meeting, the board slashed its economic growth and inflation forecast. It said underlying inflation would accelerate after a period of stagnation as the tight job market lifted wages, signaling that the hit from U.S. tariffs was likely to be temporary. Economic growth forecast for the year ending March 2026 was cut 0.5% and 1.1% projected 3 months ago. South Korea's exports were resilient in April, buoyed by strong demand for semiconductors despite the drag from United States tariff. Export climbed 3.7% from a year earlier to $58.21 billion in April, faster than 3% in March and the biggest percentage gain in 4 months. The country's trade performance, however, indicated the heat was not as bad as some had feared. In April, shipments to the United States fell 6.8%. Those to China rose 3.9%. The two countries are South Korea's biggest export markets, with auto and chips comparison the bulk of shipments. Exports to the European Union jumped 18.4% to a record high of $6.7 billion. Export of semiconductors rose 17.2%, the biggest gain in 4 months. On a rebound in memory prices and robust demand for high-end chips, wireless communications devices also jumped 26.5%, though computers and display panels fell 15.3% and 7.6% respectively. Overall, imports fell 2.7% to $53.32 billion after rising 2.3% in the previous month. Crude oil prices steadied today after a steep decline triggered by signs that Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest crude exporter, may raise output, and data showing a contraction in the economy of the United States, the world's biggest oil consumer. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to $57.76 per barrel, with a downward price review of 0.77%. Brent crude futures sells at $60.68, with a decline of 0.62%. Bonnie Light sells for $78.62 with a downward margin of 2.84%. And for the OPEC basket, dealers offer $66.52 with a decline of 2.41%. That's business news.